Start now. Retrieving your content. Alright, we're online. See how long it takes to get anybody in here. You collecting parts, Micah?
Collecting parts.
Look at you separating into individual bags. Mr. Big Time. Watch, now somebody's gonna come in and I have to mute it. Nope. Oh, yep, psych.
Oh, the copy. Is anything wrong with it?
Just give it back to him.
Okay.
Tell him we need a refund.
A refund for this one.
Or just take it off the total and whatever's coming up.
Okay, is that it? Do you have any of his stuff to...
I think, we have some data, but I don't have a USB drive to put it on. I need to go get some.
Oh, we don't have...
We've got the big ones. I don't want to put use the 128 gigs to transfer 2 gigs of information.
Oh. We don't have it.
We used all the small ones. Can I go?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go do this.
Okay.
I was gonna take her to the park and walk her.
Take her.
But I need to go get my oil changed, and I'm not gonna have enough time because then I'm gonna need a lady to pick up and order it too.
Okay.
The date's already done.
I know. Just one of those days that the girl goes through.
What?
I'm singing. Bye. What's it? Alrighty. Probably about 20-30 minutes, we'll have you ready. So if you want to go grab a drink or some food or something, come back. We'll have it ready for you.
Alright. I'll be back then.
Alright. Alright. Time for launch.
I forgot to put the battery too.
Oh, does it need a battery?
Yeah,
Okay. We'll take care of it. Huh?
It drains pretty quick.
Okay. Yeah, we'll put a new one in. Okay, so we've got a 6 that came in today. It didn't come with a paper that was supposed to be sent with it, but I would assume that it is a no image device because there's no image. It boots up, iTunes sees it, has a passcode, can't access anything on it. Opened it up, screen looks okay, everything looks fine, amp draw looks correct, but we have no image. So first things I looked at were the LCD connector here. Everything looks fine. I don't see anything out of place. Everything above it looks okay, below it looks okay. So I got to look in. Whenever you have no image, and on the 6s especially, you need to check your screw holes. So this screw over here, screw hole over here, usually doesn't have anything to do with image, but it looks okay. If we look at our center hole, we've got a little screw hole or long screw damage there. It's just a slight indentation. So I'm gonna hope that maybe for some reason this is our cause, but I doubt it, because when you come down here, you get to see the rape hole where somebody has jammed a long screw into it and kept turning until they cut through at least the first layer of the board with the screw. But I'm going to start on the center hole and hope and pray that there's nothing wrong with the bottom left. But if it is bottom left, we're going to have to cut that one too and check it. So I'm going to start by desoldering the center post and the bottom post here. To do that, just add a little bit of flux to it, because flux will help our solder on our tip to spread. Grab a large iron. I use my largest tip. And then just add some solder to the end of your tip there. And then if you come in with tweezers, you can touch it and the solder will go to the actual standoff. And then once it's ready, it'll lift right off. So there's one. We actually need to pull this shield for CPU, but for now we can just pull the standoff off. Standoff off. And there's the other one. So you see how fast those come off? And now we can get a better view of our long screw damage. So there's the bottom left there. It's pretty deep. And then this is our center hole. Our center's, it's probably through first layer also. Really hoping that the center hole is the issue because it's a 1v8 line there, but I doubt it. I could probably check, but I'm going to go ahead and scrape it anyway because I'm worried that there may be something shorting in between the layers, and there's no sense in leaving it like this if that's the case. So I'm just going to come in and wick up most of the solder on this pad. I'm going to pull out some more and cut this off. This braid wicks up a lot of solder, but it also saturates quickly. It's a fairly thin braid too, so that usually causes the braid to fill up quick. You can buy a larger size if you need more ability to wick. Alright, so that's pretty smooth now. Enough that I can come in and I'm going to just score the board lightly here. That way when it cuts, it kind of has a stopping point, because we don't want it to get outside of the area that we want to be working in. So I'm just going to start picking away at the solder here. You can see once you start getting into it, it'll start coming off in chunks. When it does that, you want to kind of slow how much you're picking off, because you can go down the layers quickly. Let's zoom in just a little bit on this. I had one overstep my boundary over here, but not a big deal. It's mostly ground plane on that top level. So I'm just slowly picking off this top layer. We're already getting into the second layer. I can see the trace that I'm wanting to see. I'm gonna open up a little more space for it, because I don't want to have any ground plane near it. Alright, so when you start getting into your second layer, you need to be fairly gentle. The fiberglass layering between each layer will come off fairly easy. So once you get through the first layer of copper, you need to just lightly scratch. I want to get my area cleaned out a little more here. Our line should be over here somewhere. Some LSD. Some long screw damage. Long screw, man. It's just, long screw damage is laziness and not understanding what you're doing. Like, laziness in the sense that you're not paying attention to what you're doing if you're a technician, and not knowing what you're doing if you're trying to be a DIYer and you're going to fix your phone yourself, and then you end up causing more damage to your phone because of it. I know screen replacements aren't terribly hard, but they can turn into nightmares quickly, and this is a prime example of that. Alright, so I'm starting to see the trace that we want. This trace that we're looking for is this one here. It's a 1.8 volt line. I'm going to scrape out a little wider here. I don't do these much, so it's still foreign to me exactly how the lines are laid out under the layers. So if I scrape out too wide or too narrow or something, that's usually why. Alright, so we need to, we're going to clean up our fiberglass layering here. Now this line will stop right here and it goes to a via. Based off what I'm seeing here, unfortunately this line is probably not going to be our issue. This line looks fairly intact. You can see that it makes it over to its position where it should be, and it goes down to the via. Sometimes this line can be cut or shorted to ground because of the long screw damage shoving the top ground layer down into it, or even that top layer cutting through this line. I've seen some that are completely cut through. It usually occurs right up here towards the top of the via, or where the via is. In this situation, it doesn't look to be the case. And I'll show you what I do with this stuff once we get it exposed here. Just want to make sure that there's nothing that I've missed. It looks fine. So yeah, you can see that line runs over where it should be. So we're going to fill that in with some some conformal coating, some solder mask. And I just want to fill in just the hole pretty much where this is. I don't want to have a large amount of masking in here, just so we can keep our profile low enough. Yeah, Alex, I made that crater in the board. There's another crater slightly lower and to the left, the one that I'm worried about. We'll check this line for a short real quick. Okay, it's not shorted. It's ground. Alright, so that's good. We're going to cure this.
You see how many help you?
And then we'll move on to the bottom left.
May I ask this one? Okay, can I help you?
the clasp again.
Oh. Mm-hmm. What do we have to? I forget what it was, but whenever the iPhone 6 Plus gets stuck in headphone mode, 6S Plus.
Stuck in headphone mode?
Yeah, I thought we'd done that before.
Just
a while back.
Put the headphone jack in and pull it in and out a few times and see if it cleans itself out.
Chris is saying to shove the headphone jack in there, in and out a few times and see if it clears it out, and then see if it works from there.
If not, it's going to be either replace the port itself or see if there's something broken.
Oh, even with the charge port unplugged,
it still shows it's in headphone mode?
It still shows it's in the headphone mode, even with the charge port unplugged? Yeah.
It's something on the board sensing that it's plugged in. I have to look at it.
It's something on the board, yeah. He said he'd have to look at it. Roundabout price, so we can quote them.
I mean, it probably start about $60.
You said it'd probably start out at $60. Okay. All right, no problem. Bye.
Who's that?
Bye. Finish.
Okay. Man, this shit takes forever to cure sometimes. Alright, I'll be right back in a second. Then we'll start on this bottom left hole, which is gonna suck. Ding. Give me unpacked their iPhone or iPad screens.
I know. I'll be good, Chris.
People were over here wondering where are the iPad screens at, man.
People are wondering where Chris is at. They're like, man, where's Chris at? I don't even see him. He's invisible today.
He's an invisible person. All day I know I'm... Motherfuck. The battery's getting low on this thing? Fuck. Need to buy one like Lauren has. Big giant ass fucker with heat sinks on the back of it. What's up, Joe? iPad 4. I got one here that doesn't charge. You want to trade me? Come on, Bobby. Trade me, Bobby. It's starting to tack up now. Power repair attempt. iPad Air 2 dead. 0 voltage. Port butchered. Installed. No LCD. Air 2 dead. Port butchered. Installed. And no LCD panel. Like no LCD as in it's not on the iPad, or no LCD as in there's no image? If it's no image, it's going to be backlight filter. It's a good thing to be waiting on, Joe. Once you get them, you're going to be knocking them out. Alright, it's starting to get hardened. We'll retest before we go on, but I have no confidence that there's going to be image. No power. Had about 2 months. iPad mini. Check battery first. Check TriStar second, and then replace PMIC third. Done. Win. Well, check for shorts after TriStar, but or before TriStar, or whenever you want. Just check for shorts. Just do whatever you want to do, man. We had an iPad mini in here last week that customer said was charging port was bad. He brought us the charging port and asked us to replace it. and found there was a shorted cap on the board, and it wasn't the charging port at all. Well, Bobby, do you have a schematic? Do you have ZXW or something? Maybe pads? Alright, if you have the schematic, Bobby, just start metering everything for your different voltages and stuff and see if anything's there. You're probably going to need something like ZXW to find your points, but... Alright, let's go down here to Shithole Mountain. Let's take this shield off first. Shithole Mountain, here we come. Actually, I'm going to test the screen on it just to make sure real quick. Hook up the screen. Zip plane. Bobby, you need to get ZXW, man, if you're gonna do this work. It's 100% needed. You got to be able to identify where your lines are. Since the boards have no markings, makes it much harder. Okay, so it's booting up right now. Still no image. So let's check the bottom left hole. All day I know I'm getting it. You can send it in if you don't want to do it or whatever. I mean, kind of sucks. I get a lot of the repairs that nobody else wants to do, or they've already tried to. I feel like this industry is going to end up being full of a bunch of people that can change all the easy shit, and then it's going to be a bunch of guys that just get bombarded with the shitty boards all the time. Mark's already in that boat, I guess. He's Long Screw Daddy. That's his name, Long Screw Daddy. Alrighty, got our shield off. Plug and play only. Let's start calling you Plug and Play Bobby. Oh, Plug and Play Bobby over here. Alright. So let's wick our pad down here so that we can come in and destroy all that is sacred to this iPhone. Let's see. Oh, look at the mushiness. Mushy. That's a great sign. Not. Oh shit, I just cut right through that. That's crazy. That shit is fucking lifted. Hopefully we didn't cut through anything too important down there. So we're gonna try to get under this layer and just lift it so you can see how delaminated this is. So you can see the amount of damage done here. So we're going to pick our top layer up there. I'm going to try to pick this area. I'm kind of worried that how many layers down it's gone, so I'm going to pick over on this side. Most of this side is all ground, but this side over here you can see there's a few power rails. I don't want to get under those. So I want to stay pretty thin here. Yeah, that's just from long screw, Bobby. That's where the standoff is soldered to that top layer, and as you press that screw in, it's shoving the top layer up, and it pulls the layers below it with it. Alright, so I want to kind of score this back here. I don't want it to get over too far. It looked like it was going to jump out too far on me. Alright, so now the real fun starts. We need to slowly scrape away this layer here and see what's damaged, what's still in place. You can already see the traces there. Need to get this center mount piece off. This has probably been driven down into the layers below it. Alright, there we go. So we're going to lightly scrape. And take these layers off. I'm going to clean up the area a little bit and see if we can see any of the traces through the fiberglass. Sorry, it's out of focus. Right now the FPCs are down to the right. I think my camera is out of focus than what my lenses are. Sorry about that. Alright, so we're going to continue to scrape here. So we can try to see what's left and what's not there. Looks like our power rails over here are mostly intact. Clean that up again. I don't know, the first layer was badly delaminated. It kind of dug into the second layer a little bit. I'm trying to keep from tearing anything up on this layer right now. Probably gonna have to work in a little closer. Let me increase the brightness here for you all. It may make the microscope a little choppy, but at least you can kind of see what's going on. Okay, it looks like we've got a couple traces here that are broken where that screw was. These over here look okay. I'll look on ZXW and see. Yeah, if it's gone third layer, Alex, I'm not fucking with it either. So LCM reset is on that far outside. It looks like it's okay. It seems like it's alright. It runs. Yeah, it's all there. The LCM reset line, which is right there. Get this fucking ground plane out of the way. The via there looks fine, which I believe is the chestnut enable. Yeah, it looks okay. I'm going to test to the connector once I get these kind of cleaned up. I want to make sure that it's making it where it should be going. Hopefully where it was delaminated I didn't cut too deep. That's the only thing I'm worried about. Like you see there, Alex, you can see the amount of delamination there. Like it's moving that fucking component. Like I can reach up under this entire layer here. Alright, so we'll keep scraping out here and see what all we can find.
Fancy, how may I help you?
Let's see, what is this here? Is that ground? Looks like ground.
Yeah,
check and
still
see if
haven't had a
it's
chance
ground.
to get around to it just yet. It's next in the queue. Okay, I want to say it should be, like I said, I'm going to work on it next, but it does take a little bit on those iPads. I'd say, how much longer do you think you're going to be in town? Okay, I'd say, can you check back with me after you get out of your meeting? And If I'm gonna be able to get around to it today, I should
Shouldn't be
have
able to
done
watch
by
this
then.
35,000 feet in southwest.
Okay. All right.
1440p. That's strong stream. Alright, looks like we've got one disconnect here on whatever line this is from here to here. I'm pretty sure this stripe here was a ground plane at some point because it doesn't show up in ZXW, so I would assume that that's just a ground plane that separates in between those two. This one here is the chestnut enable line. It looks okay, or that's the LCM to AP enable line, looks okay. This line here that goes to this via, that is the chestnut enable line. It looks okay. Our power rails out here, they look fine. I don't see anything really wrong with them. Let me clean it up a little bit here so you can see the rails I'm talking about. So those look okay. Let's see. This rail looks fine too. This is another power rail that runs out here. It goes to this via. Let's scrape it back. It also looks okay. So right now it's looking like we've got one line broken. Let me see what that goes to. And then I'm going to check continuity and hope that the other lines were just this one here, whatever this line is also broken, which kind of concerns me. That's a data line. ALS to AP INT low. Trying to see what it might go to. That line is, I think there's a piece of it back here at the very end. I'll have to try to dig back a little bit to hopefully catch that. Let me see if I can. I end up cutting more lines if I'm not careful. So yeah, it looks like this line is right here. It's a very slim piece of it left. I think all this over here is ground, but this looks to be the remnants of that line. So we can run that jumper from there to there. The rest of these seem to be okay. I shouldn't really have to dick with them much. And it started downpouring outside. Yeah, all these lines back here look okay. So we've got one break, two breaks, in. That looks like to be about it. Let's see if there's a break here too. There may be a section missing here also. Looks like there's a couple breaks in this line. One, oh no, it's there.
What y'all doing?
Oh, working.
I want you all to meet my wife. She came down here to see you all. She heard of
Alright, so I'm gonna turn my tweezers down on temperature so I don't fucking roast this trace. Because that's the only problem with this trace repair. This stuff is it's sensitive. You gotta be careful with it. I'm gonna do some testing real quick to make sure our lines are good, and then we'll go from there. So come on. So that's good. That's good. Like I said, I'm fairly confident that's just a piece of ground that sits out in the middle. Okay, that one's good. That one's good. So yeah, it just seems like it's that one trace, and I don't know, possibly a break up under here. Hopefully not. We can just run a jumper. So let me pull up. Yeah, it was raining pretty good down here just a second ago. Let me pull up ZXW and see which one the chestnut enable is. I think it's like the 7th or 8th one from the right side. But just to make sure, we will check it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is photon, B-Sync. Alright, so AP to LCM reset is right here. So it's the 8th one in on the LCD connector. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 should be it. Let's test down here. Make sure I count it right. 1, 2, 3, 8. It's hard to keep my meter on the right spot. Recount that. Excuse me, 7th. I don't know what I'm doing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Two. Guess it would help if I was on the right connector too. Fuck me. I'm losing my mind here. Can't even do anything right. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Seventh one down. So I got nothing. So I might be running a jumper to that one. Let me clean this up some. Bugs the shit out of me seeing dirt and shit down there. Alright, so far I'm not getting a beep on the APN to LCM, or AP to LCM line, which is sucks, but whatever. Trying to figure out what these lines are up here. You switch your, I can't even see chat because I'm in between two. Brass brush. Yeah, they're worth the trouble. I don't know about the free version shit, but can't say I knew there was a free version. Let's see if we at least have. Okay, so we have chestnut enable. So we don't have AP enable. So that's why we don't have image. Do you want to install updates? Well, let's fucking schedule them for later, Windows, because this is not an opportune time. Thank you. Restart about 10:30. How about that? Sounds good. Alright, so the issue seems to be the LCM reset line, AP to LCM. We don't have continuity across our line, so I'm going to run a jumper. I'm also going to run a jumper for this this line here. I think this is just the ground continuation. This is the one we want to connect here. It's ground over here, so I know it's definitely not that side. So I'm going to tin up my lines and hopefully not destroy them. I'm going to tin both my LCM reset and my my data lines here. Okay, so okay, those are tinned. And my LCM line is tinned. Alright, so we got our lines tinned. Yeah, the paid version has the key and everything. I've never heard of a free version, so. The pads one is, if you're talking about pads or whatever, that thing's a nightmare. I mean, it works, but you don't get updates or anything. It's kind of a pain. Looks like we've also got a disconnect on this line here, possibly. Yeah, we do, so we're gonna have to solder that one also. So we'll come in with a little flux, little solder. I don't know, the line might be there. Hold on. It may just be buried.
Hey there. Can I help you?
Yeah, you just fixed my phone.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't know if it was
I
working yet.
just got finished. There you go. Have you had work down here before or anything? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, this can be 108.30. Sign that there for me. There you go, sir.
Thank you.
Not a problem. You have a good day.
Laptops.
They vary a little bit. The MacBook we got out there is 600. The Surface Pro 3 down there on the bottom is 450. The Folios that we got out there, they're 350, and then the ProBooks are 250, right? Or are they 300?
250.
250, yeah.
You guys have a good day.
You too,
See
sir.
ya. See ya. Alright, so the first line seems good. These things are super sensitive, so yep, that's all. This is because somebody just didn't put the screws back in the right spot. And that's how little it really takes sometimes, like just lack of paying attention or just lack of training can cause a whole world of hurt. So that line is run. It's not perfect or anything, but let me make sure it's tight. Alright, it's connected. It's not moving on either end. So now we're going to run our jumper from here. I'm going to loop it around and bring it over to the filter over here. I'm not sure where the separation is, but there is one somewhere. I'm not getting a beep. Business card reader? Yeah, the one that like reads information off the cards and stores them in the computer and shit. Let me go back to the screw damage readout. Alright, so let's zoom in here. AP to LCM reset. Alright, this one won't be as hard because the VIA is much more stable. So we shouldn't have as much problem running this line. The main thing here is just routing it to where it's not going to be interfering with anything. And who knows, I mean, this stuff down here may be a lost cause too, I don't know. I mean, it's connected, but this goes to a VIA, and chances are, since this is delaminated, this VIA is not any good anymore. So I'm going to bend this like so. I'm going to put down just a little bit of flux right where we want it. I'm going to tin the end of my wire here. The best way to do this is get a little solder on the end of your tweezers or your tip. The tweezers I find easier because all I do is just take them and grab the end that I want to tin and rub it. Alright, so it's 10 now. I'm going to come back and I'm going to bend that wire back the way I wanted it. I'm going to go ahead and tack that down since it's kind of where I want it to be now. And then I'll move it around. Okay, it's tacked down. Now we're going to move this into position. I'm going to hold it where I want it to bend. Okay, hold it where I want it to bend again. Oh, get too aggressive there. Alrighty. Now we're going to come around this side. I'm going to tack it to my line. So it was the 7th one out, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th, which is right here. I believe this filter out here is also tied to it. I'm going to check that filter real quick just to make sure that I'm not doing this all for nothing. I believe it's this one here. Alright, so the filter's good. Make sure that that goes to that line. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. So our filter was good. I'm going to try to tack it to the back side of that filter to give us some protection, because I don't want it just to be hanging out here. Alright, so we got some space in there now. I'm going to tack that down in there. First I want to add some flux down in there. We want to tin the side that we're going to tack to, and by tinning that side you're going to make it easier on yourself as far as attaching your wire, because if it's the lead free solder, it's going to be a nightmare to tack that down. Alright, so grab our wire. Okay, so I want it to kind of sit down next to this cap some, or this filter. Alright, so there we go. And now it's soldered in there. I don't want it to be touching the next one over. Alright, so bring a similar wire, take me an hour. Yeah, my hands don't normally shake a whole lot. Sometimes they do, but not normally. Alright, so I scored it a little bit. Hopefully we can... There we go. Broke it off. I'm going to check continuity between these two so we know that we're not shorted out on this other line next to it, because we don't need that. Alright, so we're not shorted. Keep my wire tucked back. I'm going to go through and put some coating on this also. Now I want to meter from here over to my reset line. Okay, so we now have continuity. So if this is all done correctly and we don't have any shorts, we'll test here just to make sure. I don't want to have any shorts on our power rails. Alright, that's ground over here, so that's not a big deal. So there's no shorts. Let's see what happens. I still want to be very careful because that wire just is hanging out right now. But let's see if we can get an LCD image and or backlight. Yeah.
Are you still using the razor?
No. Yeah. There you go. Alright. And I'm sure if I did these every day like Mark does, I could be a little faster, but I don't do them a whole lot. I've only seen like 4 of them. It's still pulling a weird number. It's still not enabling the LCD. Alright, so let's check everything here. Make sure that we've done everything correctly. 1v8 line looked okay. Seventh line over. Let's make sure we hook that up to the right one. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7. That's right.
Hey there.
Alright, so you all sell computers.
let's see, Bobby, the iPads we use, Tesla 61395, and then heat it up till it's heat the metal frame until it's warm to the touch, and then clamp it and let it sit until it cools completely off. As far as this one goes, I'm not sure why I'm not getting image now, because I've got 1.8 volts on my LCM to, or AP to LCM enable, which is correct. I've got 1.8 volts on my Photon Alive line, which is correct, but I'm not getting an image. So let's keep looking around here and see what's going on. Let me meter the LCM to chestnut line and see if it's getting voltage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said it had Microsoft Office Suite. Yep. I just don't. Whenever I install, I don't ever put them on the desktop, which I probably should, because it confuses people.
No, it's fine. I was looking it up. That's what caused it. That was not answering. You stepped on your phone?
We can fix that. So the LCM to chestnut enable line is sending the 1.8 volts back. So it should be telling the chip to turn on. I'm now going to find where the 5V7 line comes through that turns the LCD power on. And we're going to see if we have an issue there. If it doesn't have an issue with the power rails, we're going to check we'll check the 5V7 and the 1V8. If it doesn't have issues there, we're going to check the data lines and see if we have a short or anything there also. So, pulling ZXW. Pull ZXW back up here.
What's the processor in that?
Core i5.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not 5.
It's a 4th generation Core i5.
Fourth generation.
Alright, so where is our LCM powers? I'm going to need you to run up to the post office here in a little bit. Alright, so that was our 5-volt cap that I was checking. I'm going to try it again and see if we have voltage there. If we don't, then we're going to have to start investigating chestnut.
Yeah.
Okay, so
They said they
according to the phone, it is now
What are you
booting.
doing? No, they're not there.
I have 0
Why?
volts on the rail that's supposed to be feeding power.
What?
Alright, so we need to I'm gonna tack this line down in place because it's still kind of flopping around here.
You just go home.
Once we cure that,
Make sure
we
you-
will
you
investigate
phone
chestnut.
where they're at.
So,
Phone here, man, find out where they're at. Alright. Alright, well, I love you. Okay. No. Love you. Alright, bye.
what's wrong with you?
Oh, you, Chris.
What's wrong with you?
Oh, mad.
He said wait on it.
Okay.
Wait on
I'm
it.
probably gonna do it. He said we need to do a little more research.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna do it.
I just looked him up on Google and like I guess he sold for like $2,000.
Yeah.
That'd be super nice. He just hasn't. He doesn't know what it is yet. He hasn't looked into it.
Okay.
Well,
It'll
if
still be
it
here.
if it helps ease his mind too, we also offer 3-month warranty on them also.
Yeah.
Well, I will. I can drop you back later on.
Okay.
Okay.
We're open till 7, or we're open Monday through Friday, so no rush.
Well, thank you.
I just recently learned that you can run, I didn't know this, but you can run Windows on Mac.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about doing that?
I mean, it's just like having a Windows PC. You just have a Mac option also.
It's
Yeah.
just a preference thing.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it just runs Boot Camp. So all of your Mac computers run Intel chipsets. So it's the same that's in those. It's just Mac designs there specifically to run on certain chipsets that will only run that. So if you ever look it up, you can look up Hackintosh, and they actually build desktop computers with Intel processors that are compatible, and they'll install Macintosh on those.
I did back in the Intel Core 2 Duo
Yep.
days, and it was a nice experience. But I was doing it for software development and stuff, so I can develop with Xcode and stuff like that. I mean, aside from that, I don't really see a point in
No
doing
point.
it. Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't know if it was preference or if it did anything.
Not really. It'll run exactly the same. You might have some hiccups with the Windows operating system not recognizing certain things, but that's about it.
Okay. Thank you guys.
No problem.
Last
problem.
thing, for
Yep.
iPhone speaker, what would y'all charge for that?
Which speaker, bottom or top?
Bottom.
Bottom speaker, $40.
Alright. I will hopefully be back.
All right.
You guys have a good day.
All right. So we love you too. Who loves me? So this video has been going on forever. I'm gonna look and see. Where's our lines? LCM reset? No. Chestnut power enable. AP to IP is by. Alright, so Chestnut's over here. Let's look at Chestnut. Chestnut doesn't look like there's anything really wrong with it. That's what concerns me. When there's something not obviously wrong and it doesn't work, it really scares me. Chestnut's roasting on a no power output. Is what it's roasting on. Let me see. I need to meter my lines here. AP to reset was there. Photon Alive was there. So all those are good. Let me check my data pins. It could be a data line issue. If it is, then we'll hope it's on a negative line. And if it's not on a negative line, we'll just throw this in the dumpster. Alright, so these are all going to be fairly low resistance, let's say. It's ground, 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 ground. Okay, so those are all good. There should be no grounds down here. So there's no grounds down there. These should not be grounded, and they're not. Man, it is really fucking windy outside.
Can you set up car alarms and everything?
I think so. Alright, so it's gotta be a chestnut problem at this point. Let me see if those power rails, I think one of those under that line was a chestnut line that's underneath the long screw damage. I'm hoping that maybe it burnt chestnut up because that line got hit or something. I'm also going to check continuity between those lines and output and make sure I haven't cut one. So yeah, one of those is definitely the 5v7 line. It's the larger trace. So I'm going to check and make sure I haven't cut this line somehow, which is possible because that first cut went a lot easier than it should have. So this is our 5v7 line. Now we've got continuity to our cap. Well, one thing we haven't checked is the filter over here. And let's see. It should be on one of these pins. Let's check our pins. We didn't check that. We might be barking up the wrong tree. Alright, so 5v7 comes in here. Okay, so it actually outputs down here on the bottom side. Alright, so yeah, we're getting continuity all the way to the rail. So it's third pin over. So yeah, we've got power there. Oh, fuck. So we're gonna have to remove chestnut and replace it and hope that it's just burn up. Let me see. It doesn't look terrible, but maybe it's fucked up. The one thing I'm worried about is that data line. I want to know what it connects to, so I'm gonna go back and look at that real quick. Looking a little rainy out there.
It is.
Alright, so this data line is called ALS to AP INT low. So I think that has something. We may have a power outage, by the way. So if it cuts off, that's why. The lights kind of flickered just then.
And I keep thinking that window's gonna give because I'm sitting there watching it.
Oh, how much it bows? Yeah. Alright, so ALS to AP, where are you at? I have a feeling it's front camera area. Alright, so let's look for ALS to AP. Alright, so ALS to AP is the front connector. So that won't cause any issues as far as no image. So you jumped LCM enable to LC to AP lines. Well, Alex, I'm getting my enable signal. Like down here, my traces, I'm getting 1.8 volts coming from the AP to LCM enable line. So this line here is sending signal out to the connector. That connector voltage is coming back through the LCM to Chestnut enable, but Chestnut's not giving me my 5.7 volt back through this cap. It has continuity to the large trace here, but no continuity or no power coming out where it should be. I pressed on it there just to see if maybe there's a delamination between the layers and maybe that via was disconnected. We'll see real quick if that made any change. Kind of.
Oh, no.
There you go, buddy. I might want to put a bucket under it.
That's what I'm going to do.
Figure out where it's coming from, too.
It's coming from right there.
Where?
Right there. It's coming down the wall here.
Yep.
Shit. I'm going to put big towel down real fast so I can find some kind of can.
Alright, so it's on right now. There should be 5 volts coming through here, but there's not currently. Because I don't have image, I don't believe. Yeah, there's 0 volts there. Well, I had 1.8 volts coming back through my connector, and now I don't. Well, now I do. We'll restart the phone again and watch that. No, I don't have, it's not shorted and I don't have any power there. So it's got to be either Chestnut's getting this, it's not getting the signal right away when it should, or we got other issues somewhere else. Yeah, for some reason I'm not getting my 1v8 line right away for the enable. It comes on after a while, but there isn't anything right now. So I'm going to do what you talked about, Alex. I'm going to jump those lines over and see. Because what that does is that line is there to tell the phone that, okay, screen's plugged in, you can turn on the backlight and send out data information for the image. So I'm just going to run a short jumper over there, bypassing this technically, just to see if we get a picture. I'm not sure why it would show 1.8 volts coming back sometimes, but not all the time. Doesn't make any sense. Shut up. So, grab our tweezers here. We're gonna tin our Tenor wire. Alright, so I need to tin my pad there. Now I need to come in and tack it down to this line. Alright, now that should essentially create a bypass for me. And that should tell my chestnut line that there is a screen present, even if there isn't one. But we will have a screen present, so that's not a big worry. Let's see here. I'll make sure my line is alright, it's tacked down. Well, thought it was, but I guess it's not. You put a little more heat on this thing. Turn it up to 600 here, so make sure we get a good reflow on that wire. Alright, it's definitely tacked down now. Make sure we're not shorted out here because there's a ground plane right there. Alright, so in theory this should force it to always say that screen is present, turn on chestnut. So let's see what happens. It's still doing the same thing, there's no image or backlight. Okay, let's meter our line here. The line's now reading 1.3 volts. So that's not right. That won't work. LCM AP line. No, LCM to the AP to LCM is it comes from the comes from the processor, and it has to be 1.8 volts. So we had 1.8 volts earlier on this line, but it's not showing up immediately when it should. So we're going to push this line against the board here. Alright, so the way that this line works is on the 6 series and 6 plus, you have a photon alive line, which is 1.8 volts. When that's present when you turn it on. The AP to LCM enable line is 1.8 volts. It also turns on whenever the phone is booted. If the LCD is connected, there's some circuitry in the LCD that sends power back out on the LCM to Chestnut enable line. That line then tells Chestnut that it's okay to turn on, and some of that somewhere also tells the CPU, okay, screen is present, turn on the backlight driver. So I'm not, it's really confusing what's going on here. Make sure I'm not getting backlight, but I'm fairly confident I'm not getting backlight. So we'll boot it up again here. Yeah, it spikes to 100 milliamp, which is normal for no screen. Let's see. Yeah, there's no backlight right now. And we'll check down here on our lines again. It's reading 0. That's reading 1.8 now. That's still reading 0. So we're not getting our enable voltage back out, which is odd, because it's a new screen. At some point this was showing 1.8 volts. This line is 1.778, which is right. I'm about half tempted just to jump the photon alive line straight over to the chestnut enable line, just to see if I can get an image, because the 1V8 comes directly off PMIC. Yeah, see, I'm not getting any voltage now for the enable line. Let me go back and check and see if maybe continuity's gone now. For some reason, maybe the line was broken or something. 9,000. I found that really high temperatures on the iron when you try to do jumpers burns the fucking trace up. So this is the AP line. Let's just make sure that we're not hooking shit up backwards. That'd be our luck. So that's AP to LCM reset. That's correct. Chestnut is directly beside it. So this is the LCM reset. This should be chestnut. So let's meter over here. Yeah, see, we have continuity. So that part at least should be fine. We're just not getting our voltage back out. So I'm gonna cheat the system, I think. I'm gonna put a jumper in and see what happens. trying to think how I want to go about this. Photon Alive is kind of far away. 3 pins over. But I guess we can do that. So this is the chestnut enable line, and this is Photon Alive. So I can run a jumper from here to here. That would work. As long as the Photon Alive line doesn't get drugged down. You get out of here. Alright, so I'm gonna put some flux in here. Evidently I got blue paint from somewhere on it. I'm gonna tack down to our line over here for chestnut enable. Okay, now we will loop that over and go, well, fucking disconnected. Go 3 pins back. Alright, see if we can break this off without pulling it off the pad. Let's clean it up and see what we find. See if we've accomplished what we were aiming for. Alright, so we're definitely soldered there. And we're soldered there. So let's see if we have continuity, make sure we don't have continuity to anything else. So these pins, no continuity, 9, 9. Alright, so our LCM one is now tied to that. Let's see if we cause any issues here, or if we'll get an image. At this point, kind of leaning towards this phone being something that should only be done for data. Alright, I think we got an image. Oh, we do. Look at there. Booyah! So, I don't know if that's going to work well, but if I can get into it and get at least data off this thing, I'll be happy. So, it's still booting up. The Photon Alive line is used, I think, to turn the screen on and off. So, I'm not sure how this is going to act, being that this is sending a voltage differently than it normally should. I'm really not. I'm confused as to why Chestnut Enable is not working like it should either. All right, so there I'm into the password screen. I have touch. Everything on the screen seems to be working fine. Let me see what happens when it goes to sleep, if it'll go to sleep. Let's see if I can force it to sleep by theoretically hitting the power button. Alright, so when I hit the power button, the phone turned the screen off, but it also turned the phone off. So when I hit it again, it restarted the phone. Wow, look at that solder job. I didn't even see that. Looks like shit. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a backup of this phone since it turns on. And once we get the backup done, then I'll dick with it some more. I'm going to contact the people that send it in. I really want to know why the Chestnut output line is not working like it should. Because the main rails that are there should turn it on. Photon Live and AP to LCM enable are both there, which should tell Chestnut to, or LCM to Chestnut, when the screen's there, it should send the signal right back out and say, hey, I'm present, turn on. So, but it's not doing that. So I'm gonna call it that. It's been a long video, but that's some long screw damage. We kind of had to rig it to make it work, but at least we can get it on and get data if that's the ultimate cause here. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. Leave any questions or anything in the comments. And I appreciate y'all watching. And I'm sure I'll have more to do later on. See ya.